One of my today's jobs is just an annual service on this K100 RT. The original owner did that deal where he went to Germany to purchase the bike, ride it round, and then have it shipped back here. It's only got about 97,000 Ks on it. It's a really nice bike. He's been coming here since I started here back in 1993, and when we started using computer records, so it's been around for a while. Well, this bike's been around for a while, so I buy now. So yeah, it's just a routine annual service, some fork seals, just get it ready to go for a lap at Tasmania. Working towards removing the final drive assembly just to inspect the spline of the drive shaft that meets the final drive. It's been a while since it was done, about 15 years ago. I think it was service history. Hasn't done a lot of Ks, but just happy to be able to take it out, have a look, pack some more grease in there, put it back together if it's all good. So we'll know very shortly. Hopefully it's going to come out. Okay, well it's not that bad. It's not the worst one I've seen. There's probably, to put a figure on there, I would say the wear would be 20%. When they're 100% worn, that's when you lose drive. So even if it was heavily worn and only a whisker of teeth remaining, it'll still drive the bike, usually with no symptoms. And if it does fail, you just hear this great big zing as you go to take off, and it's all over by that point. So if you do get to them early, you can cut the wear rate down to next to pretty much nil. So unfortunately all these bikes are so old now, if they've never been done early in their life, they're probably going to have a bit of wear in them. So maybe if you're looking at buying one of these second hand, I guess the service history is good and any evidence to suggest that the splines have been inspected and greased. But just remember, it's such an old bike, if they weren't done early on, they're probably going to have a bit of wear in them. If it does go, it is generally an expensive fix because you've got a damaged spline here, which is the pinion shaft and the final drive, as well as the drive shaft. So it's a cheap bit of maintenance long term. If you've got one of these, you can keep it for the sake of 30 minutes labour at a workshop or doing it yourself, which is pretty easy to do. It's not rocket science. It's well worth one doing if you own one of these K100s or K75s with the straight, the not paralever swing arm. If you can imagine these triangular splines being I guess more triangular. You see right there, there's a little bit of an edge in that. Now that's not normally there, so that's a wear mark. And it'll extend down here all the way the length, and you can feel it there with the pick that I'm using. So there is a little bit of wear in this, and that's why looking at this and looking at the spline of the final drive, if you had to put a figure on it, I would say 20% worn. So it's still 80% good. All we're going to do is clean it out and grease it up and just put it back together, because unless the bike has stopped driving or you've got a really big trip and it's 90% worn, it's a bit of a prohibitive cost to do this kind of repair. If it was just sort of preventive maintenance, like you wouldn't spend the money on doing anything like this because that's still fine. So we've got the same kind of marking in the spline of the pinion shaft. Just there's a little bit of a groove. and that groove mates into the other one up there. There's still heaps of material there that will still drive this final drive. Yeah, we'll just clean it up and full of grease. Well, not full of grease, don't go crazy. And put it back together, and we'll note it down that's been done, and check it again in probably another 10 years. Or 50,000 Ks or something like that. Or if it ever needs a rear main seal, or if it ever needs anything else. Any reason to go there, you would grease it. But if you've got no reason to go every 50,000 Ks, probably won't have it. Last time I did it, I put a little bit of seal around this flange. So any of that grease that does liquefy, which back then it was probably the grease that I used, it will do it a little bit, but it prevents the black stain that you can get between those two joints. So a little bit of seal or whatever it is you've got. I used Loctite 515 last time. So yeah, that gunk in there is actually just clumps of grease from previous. There's probably a little bit of gear oil in there. I don't think I've ever seen a pinion seal not leak even if it's brand new, like 2 mils of oil over the years. I'm going to check the pinion bearings itself, make sure there's no excessive movement in there, but I'm not expecting to see any. I already drained the oil out of the final drive, and it was like brand new. It was just that clean. You would have swear I filled it up yesterday. But give it a bit of a clean up and a few more checks and put it back together. Very good measure. Just a slither on here. Just makes it a little bit more nice to look at after the years where you don't get some grease leaching through the joint.